Hello, my name is Mr. Vale. I'm the Director of Bands here at Sunrise Mountain High School. And I want to thank you for taking the time to go through this video that explains all the paperwork and other logistical stuff for our California trip. In the past, we've had a parents' meeting in the evening and found it was easier to create a way for you to go through the material at a time that's convenient for you, so that way you have the time to sit down with your child and go through all the information as they prepare for our wonderful trip here coming up in a couple of weeks. Before you begin, probably be best to have the paperwork in your hand so that you can refer to and mark items that you need to. And if you have any questions about anything, you can mark on the paperwork and then email either Miss Bamey or myself when you get a chance so we can clarify anything as we get closer to the trip. So we'll start with the packet. The front page is the instruction page, the information that everyone needs to know as to what they need to turn in and so on and so forth. So obviously you got to the web page for where this video is located. Um, so as we go through the material, hopefully I'm able to cover everything that you're seeing, understand when it's due, and what it's needed to turn everything in. There's a lot in this packet. The first sections are the information for the trip, and then there's a signature page which is required, and a permission slip. We'll look at both those, and then the rest is optional. If you want to have your child have access to Tylenol or ibuprofen, there's a form for that. You've probably filled these out for the nurse at the beginning of the school year. If your child carries something like an asthma inhaler, there's a form for that, and then there's also one more for prescription medications that we want to take a look at. For our trips, we have a text listserv that we'll use. We're going to make the students sign up for this. That way we can communicate reminders, and then while we're on the trip, if there's anything that we need to communicate, reminders like call times and so on and so forth, we can do that really quickly. If you'd like to see those messages, you're welcome to sign up for the service. The phone number to text is 81010. And the message is at Cali SMHS 15. And if you've never signed up for this before, it will ask for your name. But if you've used this for my other ensembles or for another teacher, then that will not happen. It's Remind 101 is the program that we use. So we're going to ask the students to do that so that they can receive the messages. At the last page of this packet where the signatures are at, I should have signed that very bottom part for the grade check, which means that the student and I have both looked at their grade book together to make sure they're passing all their classes. And so therefore that step is taken care of and no need to worry there. The signing page is due this Friday, and then the permission slips, medical forms, and everything is due after the break. However, the sooner things come in, the easier it makes for all of us. So I definitely don't mind anyone being early with this paperwork. All right, so let's move on to the actual packet. Dates and basic information at the top. And then the next section is pretty much the packing and money situation for the trip. So I want to make sure everyone knows what to have in the suitcase and what kind of money they would need for the trip to cover everything that we are not covering. So California weather, probably sit down and take a look at the temperatures for each day to get an idea of what the student needs to wear for the appropriate weather that we'll be experiencing. The first day we're traveling on a bus, so regular school clothes, regular shoes. We don't want to see pajamas or flip-flop kind of things. We want students to be dressed appropriately. Thursday night, we're seeing a musical at the Amundsen Theater, so we'd like students to dress semi-formal or better. There will be an opportunity to get to their attire to make that switch. We will be checking to the hotel before that performance. But it's a very nice theater, and we expect students to dress appropriately. And once again, a reminder of the bus attire. Normal school clothes, not pajama pants. Our school dress code applies. Friday's performance. During the day, we will be providing a tour shirt that was part of the expense of the trip, and that will be in their suitcase for them. And then for the afternoon, we're going to a museum, and they can stay in the same attire for that event. Friday evening is our dinner cruise, and it's a special event. It's catered. It's a boat that we are only on, so it's just our group. And we ask the students to dress semi or formal attire. It is a social event for the students. A wonderful just opportunity to spend time together and to have a lot of fun for a couple of hours. On the last day, we will be at Disneyland, so appropriate attire for all the distance being walked and for being out in the sun so much. So if the students are sensitive to easily burning and so on and so forth, and we want to pack some sunscreen or similar material to help make sure that they are comfortable throughout the entire day. Maybe a light jacket, so for the morning and for the evening they have that with them as well. Anything the students need to get ready in the morning, they should pack, and we suggest they talk to their roommates so maybe they can reduce some of the items, things like blow dryers and curling irons and such, so that they have a little bit more room to pack in their suitcase instead of bringing four of the same item. And of course, necessary medication. We are the school when we travel, so we need to carry the prescription medication for the students. Items like inhalers or EpiPens, obviously the students are expected to carry, but we know that we, as a logistical sense, need to take care of some of this stuff. So we're asking the students to fill out the paperwork and to provide the medication, and we will have the chaperones make that available to the students whenever they need that. So in the suitcase, something for Thursday night, something for Friday morning, something for Friday night, and then something for Saturday would be the recommendation for packing for clothes. And like I said, anything that they need to get ready in the morning, obviously important as well. Money. We try and cover as much as we can with the trip, but there's some things that we just cannot cover. And then some students may want to buy some souvenirs or some other items that they can bring money for. For the first part of the trip, we're asking students to bring a lunch to eat on the bus. That'll save us with some travel time and some cost. So the first meal they'll be eating, but that evening we will have access to fast food, so they'll need money for that meal. All the breakfasts are covered by the hotel that we are staying at, so Friday morning's breakfast will be covered, and Friday's lunch will also be covered, and as well as Friday's dinner, because that's on the cruise boat. So they will not need any money for food on Friday. On Saturday, they will need money for lunch and dinner in Disneyland, and we do recommend checking out California Adventure or Downtown Disney. Sometimes the restaurants in either of those locations are cheaper than the actual park, and that may help save a little bit of money. On Friday, we're going to a museum. The museum admission is free, but there are some items there that are not. There's an IMAX theater and some other activities that can be a little pricey, so that's up to you and your child if you want to have access to those, to bring enough money to make those happen. But otherwise, the majority of the museum is free to us, and therefore won't need any money to participate in. Souvenir options, obviously Disneyland, the musical that we're seeing on Thursday night, as well as the Science Museum that we're visiting on Friday. All opportunity for students to buy items if they choose. Because it is a school trip, we want to make sure the students are aware of the kinds of movies that they're bringing to watch, and so we ask that they limit to just G and PG movies. We ask that they bring no speakers. We don't want to hear their music on the bus or in the hotel rooms. We have other guests near us and need to be respectful of the spaces. They can bring headphones and such, but we don't want to hear everything that they're listening to from a distance. So if we could ask that they just pack their music devices or their video watching devices so they can watch them on their own, it would be our best suggestion. Now our timeline. On Thursday morning, we ask that the students bring their suitcase before school starts. Part of their agreement with this trip is that there will be a luggage check that we will go through, the chaperones will be going through before we leave. After 9/11, bus companies have always asked us to know what we're traveling with underneath the bus with suitcases and so on and so forth. So we will make sure that we know that we're traveling with and that students have packed accordingly and not trying to bring anything that they should not bring on the trips. So we'll be taking care of that before we get onto the buses, and we also will be putting in their tour shirt into their suitcase at that time. We will have tags for all the suitcases, so you do not need to provide those, but if you'd like to, you're more than welcome to. And then on that morning, we have our load-in, get on the bus, head on the road, eat lunch while we're traveling. We'll have a location that we'll take care of for dinner. We'll get to the hotel, and it'll give a chance for the students to change and then get ready for the trip. It says dinner provided, but what we really mean is time is provided for students to eat dinner. So that is their first meal that they'll have to purchase as well. We'll head over onto the theater and we'll see the show. There's some opportunity for students to buy souvenirs while they're there, and then when the show's done, get back on the bus, head on back, and then back to our hotel. And lights out, as you can see there. This is given to you so you know where we're at pretty much every minute, so you know what the students are doing. And now that the time has changed again with daylight savings time, we are on the exact same time. There will not be an hour change with the clocks. On Friday, wake up and the students are going to need to be wearing their tour shirt and jeans because we're going to our performance location, so that we ask that that's their attire for the performance. That way it's comfortable but still representative of our program. And they need to be bringing with them onto the bus what they're going to wear for the evening because we're not coming back to the hotel until the day is completely done. So we'll be heading to our performance location. We'll be performing for some assemblies and we'll be having lunch at that location, and then we'll be traveling over to the Science Museum. And when the Science Museum is done, we'll head over to the dinner cruise location, give the students a chance to change into their evening attire and to visit the shops that are at that location, and then get on the boat. The dinner is provided on the boat, and when it comes back to shore, we'll reload the buses, drive back to the hotel, and then have lights out. We're visiting the California Science Museum. So here's the website for the California Science Center. If your child is interested, like I said, you need to go through this website to see what things cost if they want to partake in any of those. Otherwise, admission is free. Saturday morning, same kind of schedule. We wake the students up. Breakfast is provided just as it was on Friday. We're going to check out that morning. So we have all the students put everything on the bus and then take care of turning in keys to us. We'll get to Disneyland. We'll give them their tickets. They are park hopper tickets, so they can go back and forth all day long. For our trip, the students can stay in their own groups. However, they do have to check in with us. And so in the afternoon, we expect to see every single student somewhere in that 2-hour window between 1 and 3 p.m. And so they'll come by the main flagpole in Disneyland, come say hi to myself or Miss Bamey, and then they can go about the rest of their day. Throughout the entire day on Saturday, we do have chaperones at the flagpole, so if a student is feeling ill, loses something, or has some other situation happen, they will always find one of us at that pole so that they can talk to someone or get something that's needed. So that way, if a student loses a wallet, we can provide them with some money to buy food, or if something else happens. But we absolutely want to see every student between that 1 and 3 p.m. time so that we can just make sure everybody's doing okay. Towards the end of the evening, the students will come together before we head out of the park. We try and do a group photo on the stairs up to the train. And then as the park closes, we'll head on back to the buses and head on home. And then we will usually arrive right about around time at 7:30 at the school. If you sign up for that listserv, I will text out about an hour before we get back, so you have a heads up that we will be arriving at the school in about an hour. So if you're picking your child up, they'll be able to you'll be there for that. But if they're driving, you know what time that they're coming back. For the students who are driving, we ask that they park in the gravel lot so their cars are locked up. So that way there's no concern of anybody having access to their vehicles. We don't want them parking in the regular student lot for that time. The chaperones and the staff will be doing the same, so that our vehicles are always secure while we are in California. Throughout the entire trip, the students will always know where the chaperones are at, where the medicine is located, so if they need something like Tylenol or something because they're not feeling well, if their prescription medication will always be available to them either on the bus or when we're at various sites. Travel information. We were staying at Best Western Plus. Address and phone number are listed there, so you can check that out. We stay here each year. They do a great job of breakfast. It's an enclosed hotel, and everybody's on separate floors. The guys have their own floor, the girls have their own floor, and then they have a wonderful lobby for us to take care of any business that we need to. Works out really well. Case of an emergency, both my cell phone and Miss Mamie's cell phone are listed there. Things like an emergency situation at home or another reason you need to contact us. Maybe you haven't heard from your child and just want to make sure everything's going okay. We always keep our phones charged and always have service, so we're always available. But like I said, for emergency situations. So if you need, both of those are listed there. For our traveling, these are the rules: showing respect at all times to each other, to those working with us, to those we're performing for, to the sites that we're at, to the bus drivers and everybody involved on the trip. Being on time and ready to go. The students will see these timelines that you're seeing as well, and we'll be constantly updating, reminding them, but we expect the students to be at the places they're supposed to be at the time that is listed. We don't want anybody playing their instrument in the room. Usually not an issue, but because they're traveling and playing, yeah, we'll have access to it. So we just want to be respectful of the place that we're at. Being responsible for your belongings, respectful to that of others. Traveling's hard, especially when we have 110 students traveling. So everyone's got to be a young adult, take care of business, and help each other out. If they see someone leaving something behind, or if there's no way they can help someone, just to everybody make sure that they've taken care of what they need to throughout the trip. Appropriate demeanor at all times, just appropriate behavior. We expect from the students. It is a tiring trip. It definitely isn't a vacation. There's no real downtime. So we know that students just got to be cognizant of how they are treating each other and how they're handling situations. Our constant attire is a t-shirt and jeans, but we want everybody to act professionally when we're in performance and when we're going to see performances. So we want everyone to act accordingly as well. We are a classroom, so the same kind of rules apply as would in a classroom. And just another reminder about our dress code. No pajama style clothes on this trip. We know we're on the bus for a long time, especially on the way home, but we have rules that we need to follow. For us, lights out means that they're in the room and quiet for the rest of the evening. We know that they may not be going to sleep right away, but we definitely want to be respectful of the space we're in and the other guests in the hotel. So we definitely don't want anybody making extra noise. So they should be in their room. We do tape doors. We do have chaperones out so that we can make sure that everyone is following those rules for the evenings. Once again, you are only on your floor, so the guys and girls will know which floor is theirs. The chaperones will be there, so the female chaperones will be on the girls' floors and the male chaperones will be on the guys' floors, and so everything can be taken care of accordingly so everyone stays on their own floors. Unable to follow the rules, there may be spending some time with one of us at Disneyland or in some other situations. And then if we have some serious issues, we may need to send someone home. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I just want to make sure we go over the rules and understanding what happens if they're not followed. We're traveling with a lot of music and equipment, so we just want to make sure everyone understands personal equipment, school equipment, everything needs to be treated carefully. No one needs to be in a hurry. No one needs to be throwing anything around. We'll carefully take care of loading of buses and unloading of buses and setting up performance sites and taking things down, and just make sure that we pack respectfully, not taking too much, and just be careful as we move equipment from site to site or from the bus to another location. Severe rules, these are just out of our handbook that the schools sign for the students sign for the school each year. Things like alcohol, illegal substances, and so on and so forth. These aren't going to go into detail. Like I said, they are in the handbook. We always copy these into our packet as well. And the important notice, you represent the school, you represent the district, and we want to make sure that you do that in the best manner possible. And if you're unable to do this, we have the right to send you home at your parents' expense. So please be cognizant of all the choices you make throughout our trip and how you handle yourself. At the end of this packet is the signature page, which is due Friday. The first section is that you and your child have gone through all the paperwork. You understand what we're asking, the expectations. So please sign and date there. The next section is the video observation, that you've watched this video and that you sign that you both understand what is being asked and how everything will be handled. And the last part is the part that I signed. That's how they got this packet, is they see me and then I open up the grade book for their grades so we can see that together they are passing all their classes. And at the same time, we do ask the students to sign up for our text listserv so they have that as well. So, and this packet was the information about what to pack in the suitcase, how much money to bring, what the expectations are throughout the trip, as well as a timeline. And then, so parents, we expect that you're holding on to this. We will give all this information to the students, post it in the buses and other locations at the hotel so that they always can be reminded of their timeline and what's going on throughout the day, and so that they're always where they need to be when they're supposed to be there. Next section is the permission slip. This you're probably familiar with if the students have traveled for any other event, whether something like regionals or honor band, maybe for DECA or some of our other clubs and organizations. So fairly familiar. The top part is for you to fill out where it says student information, names, addresses. A homeroom teacher obviously isn't listed because this is an element also used for elementary, so that part can be left blank. The second section is the information we've included. The very, very bottom where it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that is for their teachers to initial. So we'll make sure that everyone takes the time to get the teachers assigned that. And then having emergency contact phone numbers and the medical information will be the other important part. There hopefully is never a time where we have an emergency where we need to use this form, but if we do need to use this form, we need to have the information on there. Something as simple as getting sick in Disneyland, they have an infirmary. They just ask that I show up with this form so that they can administer medication, they can take care of any business they need to, and so that's why we have this. There'll be no access to swimming. We are not at the hotel at a time when anyone can go in the pool. We're at no other location where a pool is provided, so that won't be of any issue. And then the last part, signatures and stuff at the bottom. There are some medical forms included as well. This is the medicine form for prescription medication, one for each one. So filling out this paragraph section right here, the backside's for us to use. So if your child is taking 2 or 3 different things, we need one for each one. We'll also need the medicines. Um, And even if it's something like over-the-counter allergy medicine, it's something that we need to hold on to. So we do need a form for each one. And like I said, in an emergency situation, hope it never happens, but we do need to have the paperwork available so that we can take care of things in a timely manner. This is the form that you probably filled out if your child has access to taking Tylenol or ibuprofen. So we'll need you to do the same for this as well. And then signing the form. And then the other form, which some students will need, is if they have a inhaler or if they use some other thing like an EpiPen, something they have to have with them at all times for emergency situations. So this form allows them to carry that, and we know that they have it, so that way if we are at somewhere like Disneyland, they automatically know what medication that the student has access to that they keep with them at all times. So these are all optional depending on the medication things that your child needs to take care of. This form is absolutely needed to be filled out, as well as this back page. So please have those in a timely manner. If you have any questions about anything, please feel free to email either Miss Mamie or myself, and I'll go ahead and get back to the top of this document so you can see that address. And if you have any questions about anything, like I said, please let us know. And otherwise, we hope to have a great trip, and it'll be a lot of fun. Thank you very much.